Y'all know who this is. In case y'all don't know, let me just go ahead and give you a little bit of flashback. This is former UC University of Cincinnati campus police officer and race coward Retrial of Tensing, the murderer who murdered Sam DuBose back 2 years ago, back in July 2015, where he said, caught on body cam and murdered our brother, claiming he feared for his life, when the body cam on him clearly showed that he wasn't. Now, as you know, with the trial that happened, it ended in a mistrial. Well, the retrial is going to be already being set for July of this year. But something's going to be different. It's going to be new prosecutors, DAs, that's going to be involved in this. His defense team still remains the same. Now, before I even go into detail on about with this cracker here, let me remind you, I think the Bose family defense team, I still believe they have Mark O'Mara as their defense lawyer. Y'all remember him. We definitely remember him here in Florida. He's the one who painted a picture that demonized our young brother Trayvon Martin. They're saying that he was a thug, he had smoked weed and all this other bull crap right there. That basically got that fat, sloppy, disgusting pig George Zimmerman off, who is now confined to Impton, Central Florida area. He would never come down here. Trust me. But anyway, though, this is the thing that you have to look at when it comes down to it, because we know Retrial of Tensing. We also know about the infamous shirt that he wore. The infamous shirt he wore, which was this one, under his uniform. As you can see, it says Great Smoky Mountains. I can't really make this out here at the bottom. Let's see if I can try. Oh, Tennessee. I'm sorry. Yeah. Great Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. I've been there before. Very, very great place. 1934. And you know what that means. That's during segregation all that time. Confederate flag. Or should I say Confederate rag. He wore this under his uniform. And the reason they entered that in the evidence, because, see, if he feared for his life, wouldn't this t-shirt would have been messed up? Prosecutors from the last trial seem to think so. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to get into the story right now of how he get into the story. Hold on, excuse me 1 second. Yeah, this Sam DuBose right here, in case y'all forgot. Let me go ahead and get into the story right now about what's gonna happen. And this is coming from WCPO, that news station in Cincinnati. So let me just go right into it. Jury selection for the retrial of ex-University of Cincinnati police officer Retrial of Tensing begins Thursday. In July 2015, Tensing shot and killed Sam DuBose, an unarmed black motorist, on Rice Street in Mount Auburn. Tensing pulled DuBose over for a missing front license plate. The shooting happened off campus. Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters sought indictments for murder and voluntary manslaughter. Tensing's body camera footage of the shooting was enough evidence for a grand jury to indict Tensing, but not enough for a conviction. See, that's the thing. And black people, we got to start looking at that when it comes down to getting these race cowards on trial. Instead of looking him to be an indictment and being charged and being on trial, we got to be fighting strong, and we got to also consistently fight for the key word here, conviction. Okay, 12 jury members were unable to agree on Tensing's guilt. 4 jurors say Tensing was guilty of murder, 4 said he was guilty of voluntary manslaughter, and then 4 said he was guilty of neither. I guarantee the 4 said that were white, because Cincinnati is like one of these cities, man. You know, so that's what declared a mistrial, which declared 16 months after Tensing shot DuBose. 10 days later, Ditas decided to retry Tensing. Now, here's what you need to know as Tensing's second murder trial begins this week. Now, the first, we all know that. After 25 hours of deliberation, Judge Megan Shanahan accepted the jury's third request to end the trial. The jurors repeatedly told Shanahan that they were hopelessly deadlocked. After Shanahan declared a mistrial, Cincinnati City Council, University of Cincinnati students, and Cincinnati's black clergy asked the prosecutor's office to retry Tensing. Ditas asked for something unprecedented in Hamilton County, where he decided to retry Tensing. He made a notion to move the trial. The judge said she would wait to decide on changing the venue until the court's attempt to seat an impartial jury. Now, see, he wants to move the trial, you know. Yeah, let me continue on that. Something just came up in my head about that. You know, no question in my mind, issues were being discussed in the jury room that shouldn't have been discussed. Ditas said that the jury fears of being identified was a factor that worked against his case. We had a revolt in the jury room. The jurors were afraid people would learn their names. Now, Tensing attorney Stu Matthews filed for a change of venue at the start of the first trial, but his motion was not granted. Now, he said he doesn't want to change of venue. Ditas pointed out that it's not Matthews' decision. Ditas said a trial has never been moved out of Hamilton County. He suggests Columbus and Cleveland. Cleveland? Nah, he definitely would have got. But Columbus, I could believe Columbus. Now, in January, Ditas announced that he was stepping down from the Tensing retrial, which was this January. That's Ditas right here. Ditas said the Tensing retrial coincided with the resentencings of convicted serial killer Anthony Kirkland. Both of them were set for May. Under those circumstances, Ditas said it would be difficult for him to prepare for both cases. So he turned over the Tensing case to assistant prosecutors Stacy DeGraffenreid and Seth Teager. Both happen to be black, I believe. Now, 3 weeks ago, the Kirkland resentencing was postponed to August 21st. Now, since January, Ditas also charged Breonna Benson with murder for the hit-and-run death of Mattie Hart and Deontay Barber and Jamal Killings with the murder in the death of Jamie Urton. In the famous words of Professor Truth, it's going to be a long, hot summer. Now, that's ain't the only thing that's changed. Also, a judge has been changed too. Now, Judge Shanahan, who was involved in the first trial of Ray Tensing, she disqualified herself from the retrials. She was 9 months pregnant by the conclusion of the first. Next, Judge Thomas Heekin was selected at random to hear the case. However, Heekin served as guardian ad litem for one of DuBose's children during a civil case against the University of Cincinnati. For that reason, he recused himself. Next, Judge Beth Myers was selected at random. Wow. Myers made a move to appeal courts in January, so she knew in advance she wouldn't be in a position to hear the Tensing trial. Finally, Judge Leslie Gies was selected. She has had the case since November. Now, the Tensing retrial will be the highest profile case in Gay's 4 years on the bench. Gay's has served 3 terms on city council starting in 2005, but lost her seat in 2011 purge by Young Democrats. She was elected to the bench in 2012 and took over in 2013. And one of the first things that she did, she signed a gag order. Signing an order barring the defense and prosecution teams from talking about the case with the media. Because of this, we haven't heard much about the pre-trial proceedings. Now, in light of the unprecedented and extensive media coverage in the case, this protective order is intended to prevent media coverage of statements that might unfairly influence the potential jury pool and outcome of the case. Okay. Now, during the first trial, local news organizations and the Associated Press sued the courts for access to jurors' completed questionnaires. Shanahan released redacted questionnaires, but not with some uproar. One juror was dismissed after concerns of being identified by the questionnaire. Now, WCPO is suing, that's the same ones I'm reading from, they're suing because terms require camera operators to sign an application allowing the judge ultimate discretion to stop recording, filming, or photography of a witness, that if a witness objects, if a juror is present, or if the judge otherwise see fit. Now, in the last trials, jurors weren't shown in photographs or on the trial's live video feed. Excuse me. Just had to get some H2O in me. Now, additionally, the courts used the news camera's video screen for overflow seatings. Seating was limited in the courtroom, which upsets family members and friends of the victim and the accused. In the most recent lawsuit, WCPO argues that the station should be able to film and show what is deemed public and open by law, which can be done without revealing the identities of jurors. Now, on Thursday, 250 or so vetted potential jurors will fill out questionnaires in Gay's court. What's with these questionnaires? But then again, The following day, jurors will return in groups of 50 for jury voir dire, or preliminary questioning to eliminate prospective jurors based on possible bias. Excuse me. Now, in the last trial voir dire, jurors were asked, this is funny, jurors were asked about Black Lives Matter, police, racial bias, and the criminal justice system. Notice how they come out and say Black Lives Matter first. Like if Black Lives Matter is an organization. I'm tired of telling y'all this is a fucking hashtag. Okay? The questionnaires indicated that the 12 selected jurors and 4 alternates included 6 moderates, 4 liberals, 2 conservatives, 1 very conservative, and 3 others. Now, the 12-member jury consists of 2 black women, 4 white women, and 6 white men. All 4 alternate were white women. That's why Tensing got a mistrial the last time. And it was the same thing as it was with our the trial of that bitch Betty Shelby, who got off after murdering our brother Terrence Crutcher down in Tulsa. Goddamn notifications. Alright, knock it off. Alright. Now, as we learned throughout the analysis of the redacted juror questionnaires, most of the jury members had prior knowledge of the Sam DuBose case. Only 2 of the 16 knew nothing of the case. Why they gotta say Sam DuBose? Sam DuBose isn't on trial. He's dead. Tensing case, that's what it's supposed to be. Now, during the 2 hours he was on the stand, Tensing never apologized and never expressed regret for killing DuBose. Like a race coward is supposed to always does. He repeated that he feared for his life and stopped the threat like he was trained to do. A la Darren Wilson. Tensing insisted he was being dragged by DuBose's car with his left hand stuck inside as the car accelerated. How do your hand get stuck inside the car and the window was down? The only way I can see of it getting stuck inside the car, unless that door was, he closed the door and the door was locked. You know, fucking idiot. Only then did he pull his gun and shoot DuBose in the head. He stuck to that story even after Dieters replayed part of the prosecutor's expert video analysis, a frame-by-frame breakdown of the video from Tensing's own body camera. But he qualified his account by saying it was my perception of what happened. Now, the DuBose family said Tensing's testimony, that's the piece of shit right here, was Oscar-worthy. You know, we was at the Oscars just now. We was watching an actor on the stand right now. That was from Deshaunda Reed, which was DuBose's fiance, said, imitating tears that we've been crying over a year as a family. Very passionate tears because we lost someone. He put on tears and put on an act for a jury, only a jury. Tensing's defense team hasn't said if he'll testify again, but he isn't required to. Backup officers at the shooting scene, responding officers Phil Kidd and an officer in training, David Lindenschmidt, backed up Tensing's account of the shooting. Kidd agreeing that Tensing was dragged and Lindenschmidt telling the sergeant that Tensing was stuck in DuBose's vehicles. Now here's the whole portion of the transcript from Kidd's body camera footage. Let me just go right there. You know, I'm okay. He was just dragging me. Kidd say, yeah, I saw that. How you saw that and you just came on the scene? See how they lie? See how these race cowards lie? Later, a UC police supervisor arrived and Kidd tells him, Lindenschmidt and I saw it. Did you see him being dragged? The supervisor asked. Yes, Kidd answers. Then Cincinnati Police Sergeant Daniel Carter arrived. He asked Tensing and Kidd who was all up here when they were. Tensing said, nodding the Kidd nearby and to Lindenschmidt, who was walking up the street towards them. Okay, yeah. I saw it, Kidd said. I think my trainee saw it as well. Later, Lindenschmidt speaks to Carter. This is where he actually fired from, right here. Lindenschmidt tells Carter. I was parked right behind him. He fired from right here and the guy took off. God, did he try to make a traffic stop? Lindenschmidt, yeah. Is it on video? Lindenschmidt said, Tensing probably does. I just arrived to back him up when the guy took off. The officer was stuck in the vehicle. Fired one round. Now I just read that to you, up and down, left to right. That was the whole transcript. Now both officers said in court and under oath that they didn't see DuBose's car drag Tensing, as Tensing claimed. I heard tires squealing. I saw the vehicle move. Officer Tensing was moving with the vehicle. I heard a gunshot and the vehicle was pulling away from the curb. I saw Officer Tensing fall away from the car. I didn't see his legs. I just don't recall seeing his legs. That was from Kidd. Now, in redirect, Kidd told Assistant Prosecutor Rick Gibson, I didn't actually see him dragged. I saw him moving and the car moving. So, if he moving and the car moving, that means he wasn't dragged. Kidd also said he did not see Tensing attached to the car. Now in court, Lindenschmidt said Tensing violated procedure where he reached into DuBose's car and tried to pull the keys out of the ignition. Kidd said he saw Tensing lunged into the car, but Kidd also said he has done that too. Now both officers say they didn't see DuBose's car drag Tensing. But I just read to you the transcript that they told the supervisor and the police sergeant that they saw DuBose dragging Tensing. You know, that just contradicted everything that they said. Now, Robert Engel, Vice President for Safety and Reform, said 3 independent investigating agencies determined Kidd and Linda Schmidt did not change their statements, engaged in criminal behavior, or violate UCPD policy. Now, this is coming from the coroner. The coroner said DuBose was shot from above, disputing Tensing's claim. Dr. Karen Lumen, the chief deputy coroner, disputed the defense claim that Tensing fired as he was falling and being dragged by DuBose's car. Lumen said the bullet went through DuBose's head downward, not upward. Exactly. Because see, if you dragging me and I'll fall down and I'm shooting the gun, the projectile is going to shoot upward. The trajectory of the projectile will shoot upward to hit its target, meaning it was going upward. No, Tensing murdered him. He shot downward while over him. So that means his bitch ass was standing over him and he shot him. Pulled his gun out and he shot him. Downward and left to right. Loomis estimated she's performed about 2,500 autopsies, so she knows her stuff. Now, the first trial was the first time video of Tensing's interview with detectives was released to the public. Now, in the video, he admitted to shooting DuBose in the head, which Dieters painted as a confession to purposefully murdering him. Now, the body camera footage was Dieter's smoking gun, and he spent much of that first trial breaking down the footage and calling on experts to analyze Tensing's movement explained by physics and body camera mechanics. Now, forensics video analysis Grant Fredericks then delivered a 45-minute analysis of the 3 seconds before, during, and after Tensing shot DuBose. Fredericks testified that the body camera video, broken down by frame by frame to the millisecond, indicated DuBose had not been moving to speed away from a traffic stop when Tensing shot him. Dieters referred back to Fredericks' testimony while cross-examining Tensing, saying the expert's testimony debunked Tensing's own account. This time, the defense wants to change the qualifications of the prosecution expert. The defense had its own expert on the stand, James Scanlon, a 33-year Columbus police veteran who said he volunteered to serve free as the defense expert witness. Scanlon said he reviewed the video and concluded Tensing's shooting of DuBose was justified and within police policies and procedures. But Scanlon acknowledged that he's a trained officer, not a video analyst. Under cross-examination, Scanlon couldn't counter the facts demonstrated by the prosecutor's expert witness in his frame-by-frame analysis. Now look right here. Now I guarantee you, a name like James Scanlon, this is another race coward. As I told you a while back in one of my podcasts and my videos about like how the FBI had this manifest about how like Caucasian supremacists, radical Caucasian supremacists, Caucasian terrorists have infiltrated law enforcement, the DA's office, and the judge's chambers. And this was back in 2007. 2006, I believe. This was like over 11 years ago, and it still holds true to this day. Now, Assistant Prosecutor Rick Gibson dismissed Scanlon as a lay person just like anyone on the jury. Now, Dieters and Matthews say they won't race out the initial trial. Well, that's not going to happen. That is until Tensing's cross-examination with Dieters introduced new data meant to portray Tensing as prejudiced. Well, shoot, he is racist. I mean, look at I just told you about the shirt that he wore under his uniform. You know. Now, Dieters asked Tensing if he knew he led the department in arrests and tickets and has the highest racial disparity in tickets, according to an independent examination of the University of Cincinnati Police Department after the shooting. Tensing issued 83.5% of his tickets to minority drivers. Tensing said he usually worked at night and often couldn't see who was in the car when he stopped it. A contentious t-shirt bearing the Confederate flag also came up during the cross-examination. The shirt, worn under Tensing's uniform of the day of the shooting, was shown during evidence examination. Deedus asked Tensing why he wore that shirt and if he understood the implications of the flag. Tensing said it didn't mean anything to him and it was a gift. In the retrial, the defense team wants Tensing's Confederate flag t-shirt banned from evidence. Well, I don't know, that's not going to happen. Now, concerns about Tensing's past interaction during traffic stops were unearthed by WCPO's I-Team, as well as a serious fight at a party, but Tensing's history wasn't discussed in court. However, former employees say Tensing has sound judgment and he was recognized as an outstanding student in his police academy graduation. Now here comes the smear campaign now. This is how the mainstream media does. They always gonna try to criminalize the victim, and in this case, look how they do DuBose. This ain't the first time I heard this. Just follow me. During the crime scene investigators' testimony, the jury learned that DuBose had marijuana in his car. See where it's going? A la Trayvon Martin, all over again. In total, he had a jar with marijuana in a cell phone box behind the driver's seat, an orange Nike bag under the passenger seat with 2 bags of marijuana, a bag of marijuana in the center console, and 2 bags of marijuana in his pocket. A gin bottle filled with perfume noses known to smell good was also under DuBose's seat in the car. Now, what the hell that's got anything to do with the fact of the matter that this brother here ended up getting murdered by this race coward, AK/reptilian? Now, marijuana was in DuBose's system when he was killed, but the coroner office testified there's not enough knowledge to doubtfully analyze these results to determine if someone was under the influence of drugs and their level of intoxication. There's no scientific ability to determine when Samuel DuBose last ingested marijuana, and it would be inappropriate to allow that evidence. It's a leap to say that his medical condition affected his behavior at the scene when he was stopped by the defendant. Now, the medical condition mentioned by Shanahan was never explained in open court. Regarding DuBose's criminal records, see, now they're bringing all this stuff up. No surprise. The rules are clear when prior records come in. Even with extensive record, it's clear that the probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice and frankly has no place in this crowd. According to court records, DuBose had been pulled over nearly 60 times for various traffic violations and other offenses, including driving on a suspended license. Now, fearful of outcry in other American cities facing similar trials, city officials and law enforcement took some precautions in anticipating of riots. Now, the mistrial announcement sparked reaction from the DuBose family as well as members of the community. Thousands took to the streets downtown Saturday afternoon to protest that decision. Protests once stifled and they remained peaceful. City manager Harry Black said the public needs to be able to express their emotions. Now, we are prepared to support that because it is our constitutional right in terms of assembly and expression. And as you can see the picture right there, though, you see the protesters, you see white, black, and you see white person holding signs saying Black Lives Matter, The only thing killer cops will understand is jail time. That I wholeheartedly agree. Now, Tensing isn't the first officer to be charged after a fatal shooting in Cincinnati, but certainly has the most aggressive and serious charges. Now, Stephen Roach, who shot and killed 19-year-old Timothy Thomas during a foot chase through a dark alley in Over the Rhine on April 7, 2001. That shooting led to 3 nights of rioting in the city. Roach was charged with 2 misdemeanors, negligent homicide and obstruction of official business. Roach opted for a bench trial instead of a jury trial, and Judge Ralph E. Winkler found Roach not guilty on September 26 in that year. Roger Owensby Jr. died after a struggle with Officer Blaine Jorg and Patrick Caton at a Roselawn gas station on November 7, 2000. Man, I forgot about that one. Although there was no warrant for his arrest, Owensby Jr. was stopped for questioning outside a convenience store, initially cooperated with officers. Police said Owensby tried to run and was tackled by officers. He was struck several times, forced to the ground, placed in handcuffs. Now, he died in the back of a patrol car. The coroner determined Owensby died of asphyxiation. 2 months later, after the killing on January 3, 2001, grand jury indicted Gorg and Canton. Now, Jorg was acquitted of misdemeanor assault, but a mistrial was called on the involuntary manslaughter charges. Gorg was never retried. Canton was acquitted on the assault charge. He was fired from his job but won an arbitration case. Wow, no surprise there. Got his job back and about over $200,000 in back pay. Does it surprise you that KKK, the United Snakes of America, always reward their killers? They do with George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Wilkes Booth, J. Edgar Hoover, Nixon, Reagan, Bush 1 and 2, Clinton, Obama. Yeah, I'm gonna say Obama, because see, a lot of this stuff, well, it didn't happen during that time, but 2008 all the way to 2016, shoot, black men, women, and children, unarmed black men, women, and children, been murdered by these race cowards pretending to be police officers, you know. But then again, the word police derives from the word policy, so they're there to enforce policy. And most of them who happen to be white. And you also got some of the black ones that bought into that cannon fodder too. You know, but I'm gonna talk about that type of situation in another video that I got stored and ready to upload. But this is about what's about to go down. The retrial is about to happen. We already know that the fraternal order that police had took to the news stations to go ahead, particularly to WCPO, to try to go ahead and to try to criminalize DuBose and all that. But this is going to be interesting. I'm going to keep my eye on this one as well as the one with Kevin Lamont Scott. There's that be coming up as well down in Charlotte, North Carolina. But you can look at this cracker right here and you can tell he got hate in his eyes, you know. But he's a coward too, and he's a bitch-made beta male punk, as 78 Sports News often refer to these guys as. But I will keep y'all posted on what's going on with this, and when that trial starts. It's going to start up in July, the retrial. And let me know what y'all think down in the comment section, and I'll be back